What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, looking at all the polls, looking at everything that's going on, the Biden administration is in outright panic mode. They're failing in the polls. They know that, man, they can't prop up this man too much longer. He's falling all over the place. He can barely speak. He can barely get up and move around and do all this. He keeps having these senior moments where he keeps forgetting stuff. He takes these long pauses, and it's not looking good for Joe Biden. So they're in panic mode and they don't know what the hell to do. So you got Joe Biden doing all kinds of dumb stuff, right? Like trying to pay off student loan debt, even though the Supreme Court told him you can't do that, right? Causing inflation to go up even more by flooding the country with criminal aliens, trying to raise taxes, trying to tax unrealized gains. Biden just did an interview with CNN, and oh my goodness, is this guy ever lying, right? Telling us, look, hey, your eyes are lying to you. Don't believe your pocketbook. Don't believe the grocery store. Don't believe the gas pump. Don't believe none of this stuff that you see with your own eyes. Don't believe your paycheck, by the way. Don't believe that you're getting paid less, because you're not. The economy's great, y'all, and it's my fault that the economy's doing so good.
When you talk about the economy, of course, it is by far the most important issue for voters. It's also true right now, Mr. President, that voters by a wide margin trust Trump more on the economy. They say that in polls. And part of the reason for that may be the numbers. And you're aware of many of these, of course. The cost of buying a home in the United States is double what it was when you look at your monthly costs from before the pandemic. Real income, when you account for inflation, is actually down since you took office. Economic growth last week, far short of expectations. Consumer confidence, maybe no surprise, is near a 2-year low. With less than 6 months to go to Election Day, are you worried that you're running out of time to turn that around?
We've already turned it around. Look at the Michigan survey. For 65% of American people think they're in good shape economically. They think the nation's not in good shape, but they're personally in good shape. The polling data has been wrong all along. How many, you guys do a poll at CNN, how many folks you have to call to get one response? The idea that we're in a situation where things are so bad, the folks that, we've created more jobs. We're in a situation where people have access to good paying jobs. And the last I saw, the combination of the inflation, the cost of inflation, all those things, that's really worrisome to people with good reason. That's why I'm working very hard to bring the cost of rentals down, to increase the number of homes that are available. But let me say it this way. When I started this administration, people were saying there's going to be a collapse of the economy. We have the strongest economy in the world. Let me say it again, in the world.
Although GDP last week was far short of expectations.
Oh, it wasn't. Look, GDP is still growing. Look at the response of the markets. Overwhelmingly positive. Overwhelmingly positive. And one of the reasons why people feel good about it not being as strong as it was before is they believe that the Fed's going to respond.
They hope they're going to get a rate cut.
Yeah. Well, no president's had the run we've had in terms of creating jobs and bringing down inflation. It was 9% when I came to office. 9%. But look, people have a right to be concerned. Ordinary people, the idea that you bounce a check and you get a $30 fee for bouncing the check, I changed that. You can't charge more than $8 for that. Or your credit card, your late payment, $35. There's corporate greed going on out there, and it's got to be dealt with.
Yeah, so I gave a little bit of props to CNN for pushing back a little bit on Joe Biden's BS, just outright BS, talking about, oh, well, inflation was 9% when I came in. What? No, it wasn't. It was like around 2.5% when you came in. What are you talking about? Talking about 65% of the American people think the economy's okay. What? No, they don't. numbers of polls. Oh, by the way, don't believe the polls. That's what Joe Biden is trying to tell you. Don't believe the polls. Don't believe your lying eyes. He's trying to gaslight us into oblivion, trying to say, oh, Bidenomics is working, y'all. Bidenomics is doing great. But this guy is just failing all over the place. That interview actually kind of pissed me off because I'm constantly reading the news. I go to the grocery store, by the way. I don't believe that Joe Biden goes to the grocery store. He doesn't have to worry about things like that. Why? Because we pay his paycheck. We give him a salary, so he doesn't have to worry. His salary is guaranteed. Doesn't have to worry about that one single bit. But guess what? We do. I start crying every time I go to the stinking grocery store. It's just getting outright nuts how much we're having to pay for nuts, for milk, for cheese, for eggs, for chicken, for God's sakes. And Joe Biden is trying to say that that's all a figment of your imagination. And I don't know if you guys noticed that, but he said he quotes a poll saying 65% or something of Americans think the economy is doing okay. And then right after that, backdoors it with, hang on, don't trust the polls. How many people do you have to call to get a respondent, right? And it's like, no, dude, come on. The economy's not good. It's partially your fault. It's partially Congress's fault. But your economic policy has been absolute garbage. Your foreign policy has been absolute garbage. Your domestic internal policy has been absolute garbage. Do you really think that people are going to go for Joe Biden again? They're like, yay, sure, they may not want Trump, but when they think back to when Trump was in office and they look at the economy numbers and they look at everything that was going on, they've got to admit that, yes, the economy was doing great. America was doing great. And then BLM comes in and starts rioting all over the place, damaging people's businesses, damaging people's homes, burning down police stations, burning down courthouses, and then we got slapped with a pandemic on top of that, right? It's like, well, how else could you ruin a presidency? You get, mass riots and a damn global pandemic. And a lot of people blame that on Trump. And another thing, like with the vaccine, he had Operation Warp Speed coming through, right? And then Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was getting on talking about, oh, I don't know if I would trust that vaccine. And as soon as they get into office, oh, now it's my vaccine. I can take credit for this vaccine. Oh, you got to get your vaccine. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go through OSHA and mandate that you have to take a vaccine. Had thousands of people fired from their jobs. Tons of military officers either was forced to resign or be discharged, dishonorably discharged, or they just outright quit, just left and said screw it because they didn't want to take a damn vaccine. But like I was saying, Joe Biden is trying his damnedest to win back some sort of support, because the only people that are supporting Joe Biden right now are insane people that really need to take a look at their lives and realize that, yeah, you're on the wrong side of the political spectrum right now, and it's not looking good for Democrats, because Democrats have been going insane for the past 8 freaking years, and their policy is showing it. But let's get into the story, because I want to highlight another point of contention that Biden is, I can promise you, he's going to try to take credit for, and he's trying to win over some Republicans that happen to not like Trump very much. Check this out, y'all. Biden administration proposes rule that would rapidly reject migrants who are ineligible for asylum. So now he's going to become a hawk on the border and like, oh no, we're going to turn around these people and we're going to kick them out. We're going to deport these people who are ineligible for asylum. But wait, hang on. That's just a proposal for a rule, right? That's not implementing a rule. He could absolutely implement policy and change the whole dynamics of the southern border. He could right now stop the crisis on that southern border by just telling Alejandro Mayorkas to say, hey, don't allow these people to come in, turn them around, and send them on their way, abiding by federal law. force them to go to a port of entry, whatever. He could stop the border crisis right now, but he doesn't want to. And this is just something to buy more votes. That's all this is, because it's a proposal. It's not an implementation. I could make several proposals, right? Like, I propose right now that every single person that watches this video and every single person that gets onto YouTube will subscribe to my channel and hit the like button and watch every single video all of the way through and then comment after that. But is that a reality? No, of course not. Not everybody's going to like what I have to say. As a matter of fact, not a whole hell of a lot of people like what I have to say, it seems like. But that's neither here nor there. Let's get into it right quick. The Biden administration on Thursday proposed a rule that would allow immigration officials to rapidly reject migrants who are ineligible for asylum, casting the new regulation as a measure to enhance border security. Right? Once again, this is just a proposal. This is not an implementation. This should have been proposed on day one. As a matter of fact, he wouldn't have had to propose this if he wouldn't have turned over all of the Trump regulations and policy that Trump had to keep the border in check, to keep the illegal crossings to around 300,000 a year instead of 300,000 a month. The proposed rule, which is narrow in scope, doesn't change asylum eligibility but would allow immigration officials to more quickly remove migrants who are ineligible for asylum earlier in the asylum process. The proposed rule we have published today is yet another step in our ongoing efforts to ensure the safety of the American public by more quickly identifying and removing those individuals who present a security risk and have no legal basis to remain here, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said in a statement Thursday. You know what? That is outright telling right there. That means that before they proposed this new quote-unquote rule, they didn't care about American safety. They didn't care about who was coming across that southern border, right? We covered in a video the other day the reason the Democrats, Joe Biden, open the floodgates and start allowing all these people to pour on through is because they want more political power. They're not going to come outright and say that, but they know that the census counts these people when they send out the census every 10 years or whatever, and they know they get counted, and they know that, all these people are going to migrate to Democrat states, to quote-unquote sanctuary states, because they're welcome there. They're not welcome in other places. You got places like Texas trying to write up laws and implement laws that actually kick these people out of the country. So why would they want to go there? So they know they're going to go to these Democrat-run cities, and they're going to know that when they get counted on the census, they are going to get more electoral power. They're going to get more congressional power through redistricting, by the way. It's just outright insane that they're telling you that they didn't care about American security. The move comes as the White House has tried to toughen its position on the U.S.-Mexico border and flip the script on Republicans who continue to hammer President Joe Biden on immigration ahead of the November election. BS, by the way. Asylum officers under the proposed rule would be able to reject asylum claims within days of a migrant being encountered when there is evidence they pose a national security or public safety risk. Under current procedures, that often happens later in the process. Yeah, because they don't care about who comes into this country. They come in and they just let them go off wherever the hell, right? Like, that makes absolutely no sense. You're going to let these people come in. You're going to give them a debit card with hundreds of dollars on them. You're going to give them a hotel room, right? And you're not going to keep track of these people. That's what they're not doing. They're not keeping track of these people. So we could have several terrorist cells in this country just waiting in the wings, have another 9/11. We just don't know because they're not vetting none of these people. They just let them pour right on through. It's mind-blowing. See, I said it different that time. The department also announced Thursday that asylum officers would need to consider whether an asylum seeker could reasonably relocate to another part of the country of feared persecution when assessing claims under revised guidance. We've taken a series of measures to expand our use of executive authority and resources in order to address what we are seeing in our border and really throughout the whole hemisphere, a senior Homeland Security official told reporters, citing congressional inaction. Oh my God, they're really going to cite congressional inaction? No, all of the freaking laws are in place, dude. God, these people just aggravate me till no end, just lying to the American people. Oh no, Joe Biden is a border hawk now. Yeah, he wants to propose a new rule that wouldn't amount to diddly squat. Yeah, this new rule doesn't do anything, but people that don't know nothing and don't pay attention, don't know and don't care, are going to see this and be like, oh, well, now Joe Biden is a border hawk. Oh, yeah, he cares about border security. No, he really doesn't care. This only has to deal with asylum seekers. This doesn't have anything to do with all of the economic migrants that are coming into this country. Of course, almost all of these people, by the way, claimed to be asylum seekers just to get into the country. And then once they're here, they're like, no, we don't want asylum. We just wanted to live here, blah, blah, blah. Or they just don't ever show back up to their court hearing. The rule, which will be published Monday, still needs to go through a public comment period before taking effect later this year, according to a senior DHS official. Right? Too little, too late. You should have done this 4 years ago. Politico first reported on the proposed changes. Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut acknowledged ahead of the announcement that the administration was pursuing asylum changes, but noted that without legislation, making full-scale changes to the asylum system is incredibly difficult. Murphy told reporters Wednesday he's been engaged with the administration on the policies under review, but noted fuller-scale changes that Republicans want Biden to make risk being challenged in court. No, they don't. They were all laid out. Trump's border policies were worked out great, right? Trump had a great border. As a matter of fact, he had the most secure border we've had in a very long time. Yeah, and he didn't seem to have any issues in court, so what the hell are you talking about? Oh, wait a minute. It's a politician. He's freaking lying to you. Yeah, he's lying to you about that. That makes absolutely no sense because Trump had one of the strictest borders, and he didn't have many problems at all in court, did he? Senate Democrats are going to keep pushing for the failed bipartisan immigration bill to get more GOP support, Murphy said, adding that at this point it's not clear the measure would get another vote. Yeah, and no Republicans are going to vote for that. You notice they dropped the whole border security bill that they used to call that thing. Yeah, because it's not border security. It's amnesty for 15 million criminal aliens that we currently have living and working in this country and doing whatever the hell they want to do. Right? Like, once again, I have zero problems with migrants. This country was built on migration, for God's sakes. I mean, sure, it was over a long period of time, but it was built on migration. Everybody that's in this country, except for Native Americans, migrated to this country from somewhere else, for goodness sakes. But they all did it through the legal process, became citizens, and then started having babies. So I'm not against migrants, right? And how do you think it? Let me know down in the comments how you would feel if you was a migrant going through the legal process, doing everything right, and then the Biden administration comes in and just allows all these people to pour in, starts giving them debit cards with hundreds of dollars on it, you know, hotel rooms and taking up high school gyms to house migrants and all this other BS that the Biden administration is doing. Would that not just outright enrage you? Just piss you right off, wouldn't it? I would think it would. And you would think politicians would care about that. They would care about the migrants who are getting the run around. They're getting the shaft, essentially, because of the Biden administration and Biden's policies. But I'm really sick and tired of hearing all these politicians talking about policy changes and, oh, we can't change too much. We can't do this and we can't do that. Yeah, all you got to do is what was there before. It worked. It worked great. So they're freaking lying to you, by the way. But that's all I got for this one. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comments section. Do y'all believe this? Or do y'all think this is just he's vying for more political votes. He's trying to purchase more votes, in other words. What do y'all think? Let me know down in the comment section. That's all I got. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.